So it's fundraising, sourcing, due diligence, execution, coverage. That is more or less covers what any venture capital firm does and what I do. And because this Asian region is so dispersed, there's so many languages, there's so many currencies, there's so many borders, what we believe is technology, generally speaking, is the way in which you disseminate your product and your services across Asia to allow that middle classes to consume. So that is essentially the general thesis. Well, have you raised money before? When was the last time you raised money? How long have you been doing business? What's your revenue? All these questions, in my mind, as I'm processing the responses, helps me kind of more generally plot along this graph where that company is. Because at the end of the day, it is very true, as cliche as it sounds, we invest in you. We invest in people. And that's why we have a psychologist as part of our partnership. We're not just asking about your business model. We're not just asking about the theme, the trend, the total addressable market, the TAMs, the cost of acquisition, the margins. Yeah, that's all important. But to be frank, at the early stages where we invest in, even you don't have those numbers. The most you will do is do a comparable on something similar. We will spend a lot of time thinking, well, what does money mean to you? What does work mean to you? How do you define a career? What will make you happy? What will you do if you walk out of this investment room today and I don't write you a single check? And in fact, I tell all the investors, if they ask to say, I passed on that deal because of these reasons. And if that leads to, I'm not saying it does, but I'm saying if that leads to no one writing you a check, what will you do? We care a lot about those answers because that's who you are and that's what drives you.
And most of the people come over to me and say, hey Desmond, what's the most important thing you're looking at? I say, everything is important. So there is no one thing that is like, hey, if I single that out and if you do it, you're going to be successful. Because in business, you're not just going to say, hey, if I do an online website, e-commerce website, I will be successful. That's a very simplistic way of looking at life. So it's a combination of a lot of different things together. So, and because of that, it complicates everything in terms of due diligence. So going back to what Roland said, he checks the founders, checks their relationship. I do as well, because some of founders are coming in and say, hey, I'm working with another co-founder, and I say, what's your relationship? Girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, husband or wife? That actually dictates, yes. So it's your need at that particular moment, right? And it differs from scenarios, differs from people to people. So your friend next to you, who's also a good-looking guy, he may not be wanting this bottle of water for $100 or $20,000, maybe $50 at even that particular point. If I give this bottle to you at your first day in the desert, you won't be paying that much as opposed to after 10 days in the desert. So it's more about the needs of a certain person. It's the same thing for investments as well. It's the same thing for everything that you do. So the fact is, when you're looking at things, when you're asking the questions, always look at who's actually buying from it. The 5 factors that I just mentioned to you guys. Why is a particular person at this particular moment buying things for themselves?